The Chicago Bears appear to have hired an offensive line coach. His name is Dan Roushar. We're going to talk about that. Plus more Bears news and rumors. My name is Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Jordan Schultz said they are nearing an agreement for the O-line coach. Brad Biggs had the note first that that hire is expected to be finalized. And this guy is as experienced as it gets. He's been coaching offensive line play since the freaking 80s at Butler. Didn't even know they played football, if I'm being completely honest. Works his way up. Actually coached at Illinois in 2 different stints, so there's a local connection there. NIU as well. Cincinnati, Michigan State, all around Big Ten country. And then most notably, he was with the Saints for 10 years. Mostly he's an offensive line coach, but he also coached their running backs and tight ends. So he's got experience with different groups on the offensive side of the ball. He's been with Tulane the past 2 years. Just wanted to stay local, I guess, when they went in a new direction with their staff. But I think most impressively was that tenure with the Saints. And you look at the development he did when he was in New Orleans. Excuse me, this is Joe Rudolph. You can disregard this tweet. We had the wrong one there. The one what he did in New Orleans was develop several All-Pros and several Pro Bowlers. I think it was like 6 Pro Bowlers, 3 All-Pros. I have to go back and check that. That was my fault on the graphic there. But regardless, it's pretty well documented. The Bears needed to nail this hire, and I think they did. I saw another stat in pass and run grades. Most years, they were top 10 when he was the O-line coach in both categories. One year, the run block grade was 21st, but every other year was like 12th was the lowest. They were top 10 most years in both categories. So he knows what he's doing. And here's what I like, too. He's 64 years old. Ben Johnson is doing something that's very interesting to me. He's surrounding himself with all different types of coaches in terms of their experiences, and a lot of them who have been a part of big winning, but also all kinds of ages, right? Declan Doyle, his OC, is 28 years old. But his assistant head coach, Antoine Randall has been around the block for a little bit. I think he's in his late 40s. Dan Roushar is 64. He brings in Eric Bieniemy, who's 55. He also has JT Barrett, who's 30 years old, an up-and-comer. Like, you've got this blend of young, hungry, talented individual coaches who are moving up the ranks, and also kind of these savvy, hard-nosed vets like Roushar and Eric Bieniemy who will just bite your head off if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So I like the blend. I like the mix. Obviously, these guys all got to come together and get on the same page. But I think on paper, it's a pretty intriguing staff on the offensive side of the ball. Grade the Bears' offensive coaching staff. A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know how you feel about it here in the comment section below. Obviously, grades are just grades. We haven't seen these guys coach together, play together, any of that stuff. But I'm a fan. I think it's pretty darn good. All right, more Trey Smith buzz. There's been a couple outlets like PFF recently connected him to the Bears once again. And then also I saw this circulating, some old quotes from Trey Smith on Eric Bieniemy, who now is on the Bears staff, obviously, as the running backs coach. And here's what Trey Smith had to say about EB. From day one, EB sort of encouraged me. Like, quote, "You have a bright future, man. You got to keep working. I might have a hiccup here or there, and he's going to get on me. But then he says, okay, this is why I'm getting on you. I want you to be the best." So my relationship with EB was always great. He's very demanding as a coach because he knows and believes in us as young men, as young players. He knows how well we can be. And that's kind of his reputation. Some players don't like him. LaShawn McCoy is on record on TV when he joined the Chiefs saying, yeah, I didn't like the dude. Well, he's kind of a hard-nosed coach, and maybe some players don't receive that. You know what we heard throughout the second half of the season? We need harder coaching. We need accountability. So you're going to get it with this guy. He's going to bite your head off. There's going to be times where maybe it seems unpleasant. I think this team needs that. I think they need more coaching like that. Obviously, there's got to be a balance there. But like Trey Smith said, afterward he'll tell you, hey, man, this is why I'm encouraging you to do this, because I think you can go be great. So I think that's good coaching. I've always been a fan of Bieniemy, and everybody's like, oh, you mean the guy who flamed out, couldn't get ahead? He's the running backs coach. He's not calling plays. He's not the head coach. He's the running backs coach. He was a college running back, Heisman finalist. He got his start as a running backs coach in college and in the NFL. Andy Reid big supporter of his. Like, yeah, as my running backs coach, I'm a pretty big fan of this hire. And as far as Trey Smith goes, obviously he's a name that's going to be heavily connected to the Chicago Bears. Top guard on the market. Ryan Poles was in Kansas City when they drafted him. Eric Bieniemy knows him well. He's spoken highly of Bieniemy, and he's just a damn good player at a position of need. Like, you have to go get some dudes on the interior, and this guy is the best guy that could be available. And I do say could be because there is a chance that the Chiefs just re-sign him before he hits the open market. They would have to move some contracts around, restructure Mahomes, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. But first, I do want to tell you guys about today's sponsor. That is Game Time. You looking to get out of the house? Starting to warm up outside a little bit depending on where you are in the country. Hey, go grab dinner, then go to a game, go to a concert, go to a comedy show, and get your tickets with our friends over at Game Time. The big game is almost here. If you're getting tickets to that, be sure to check that out. But all kinds of events, not just sports. Last week, Disney on Ice was at the United Center. Looked awesome. Looked like a lot of fun. Hopefully some of you guys checked that out and got tickets with Game Time. There's stuff like that going on all the time, especially in big cities if you're living in the Chicago area or another metropolitan area in the country. And what's cool about Game Time, too, is they have the feature Game Time Picks, which will filter out the fluff of thousands of tickets and get you the best price, best deal, the best seats available within your budget. So be sure to use that feature, toggle that on. Use their other features as well, views from the seats, all-in pricing, event cancellation policy, just to name a few. Download Game Time today. Use promo code CHATSPORTS when you create an account to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms do apply. What time is it? It is game time. All right, the latest reports on Trey Smith is most people in league circles think he'll hit the open market. Like, I can't remember. I think this was Fowler I was reading the other day. He was basically saying, a month, 2 months ago, most believed the Chiefs would lock him up, but he might have created such a big price tag for himself that he might just hit the open market. And look, if I'm Trey Smith, I want to be the highest paid guard in the NFL. And if I was advising the Bears, I'd be like, yeah, you need to do that. Like, I get it. Free agency, sometimes you get burned, but what choice do you have? Like, no more bargain bin shopping, at least for a top offensive lineman. Go get him, plug him in at right guard. Because then you've got him and Darnell Wright right next to each other on the right side, which is very, very appealing to me. So what is highest pay going to cost? Probably $22 million per year. Like, it's going to be a lot of money. How much are the guarantees going to cost? More than $60 million. That's the most we've ever seen on a guard contract. So the extension or the contract I've projected is 5 years, 110, 22 per year, 70 guaranteed. Is that a lot of money? Yep. Is he a good player? Yep. Is there a chance he doesn't quite live up to that? Yeah, there is. But if he comes in here as consistently a top 10 guard, who cares? Because that's what you need on this offensive line, a guy that can stay healthy and be very productive for you. And I believe this guy can do that for you for the next 4 or 5 years. Would you make Trey Smith the highest paid guard in the NFL? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I would. Quite frankly, I think that's what it's going to take if he hits the open market, because you're going to have at least a half dozen teams, I think, in on Trey Smith. All right, real quick, latest on Myles Garrett. Obviously, did a full video earlier today. Go check that out. But the Browns are maintaining that they are not going to trade their star pass rusher despite his request. And obviously, they're not going to come out and be like, yeah, we're open for business. Why? Because that lowers the price. So if they play hardball publicly and privately take calls, well, you can kind of create a bidding war behind the scenes. Just real quick from the Browns' perspective, and I talked about this on my other channel, 4 Verts, they should trade Myles Garrett. And you might say, why? He's a superstar. Well, he's never going to have more value than he does right now. The Browns don't have access to a quarterback they can win with unless they think Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders from day one makes them an AFC contender, which I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's very unlikely. Then go trade him, draft Abdul Carter to replace him, and use the draft capital you're getting for him to draft a quarterback next year. Like, that's what I would do if I was Cleveland. And you're going to have plenty of teams that are going to be willing to help you do that, that would be willing to trade future draft capital, not just picks this year. So I'll keep my same stance. If it is less than 2 first-round picks, and even if it's 2 firsts and nothing else, or you get a pick back, I'd be interested in. That'd be a little tough pill to swallow. We'd have to revisit that if that became public knowledge. But If it's a 1 plus more and it's not a second one, I'm pretty interested. I'm pretty intrigued. And Harrison, we got to build the offensive line. You got enough money. You got the free agency cap space to do it. The question would be the draft picks, because I saw Matt Miller throw out there, give up 10, 39, and 41. I'm not that interested in doing that. I'd rather give up a pick next year as well, because I'd want at least to keep one of those 3 picks to draft another offensive lineman. Because my thought is, if you sign 2 in free agency and then draft 1, and then you just bring back Braxton Jones, well, there's your 5 offensive linemen. Like that's how you go. You trade for Garrett, that fixes your D-line for the most part. You can sign some cheap backup edges, and maybe you draft a defensive tackle on day 3 or something like that. But Billings will be back. You've got Dexter. Like I'm not saying acting like it's easy. I'm just saying the path to doing it is there. Like, it's not impossible to figure out. It's just a matter of how many draft picks you're going to have to give up. That's the bigger obstacle to me than the contract, if I'm being completely honest. If you want more thoughts on that, like I said, I did a full video on this earlier today. Go check that out. I even threw out 5 trade ideas on that video, so go explore that. All you got to do to find that video is hit the subscribe button and go to the content tab. If you see this thumbnail, you're in the right place.